Hello everyone. Today I'm going to speak to you about Project Inspiration 1001 Usage Models for Interactivity. This is where you'll be exposed to numerous cross-vertical scenarios and when you and your customers will discover a list of opportunities for incorporating interactivity, whether that may be in existing customer deployments or brand new projects. So let me tell you a little bit about the history. Well, it all came about one day on a visit to see a client on their premises. And this particular client had a showroom. It was a physical showroom where they specifically demonstrated various use cases such as retail, self-service and banking, assisted selling, for example. Reflecting back upon this, it became obvious that we were lacking this kind of showroom, not a physical one, but its virtual equivalent. We were thinking, to start, we need a clear collection of usages, well defined. And such a collection would include maybe use cases such as lift and learn, engaging a screen with a mobile phone, speak to your screen with Alexa Google Home, or collaborative assisted selling with a touch table. Ideally, each item would provide a description of the business usage with examples and a link back to the marketplace experience. But most of all, first and foremost, it had to guide the visitor on a path from one use case to another. So with that, our creative and marketing teams started to bang their heads together to formulate some ideas, and this was just the beginning. Before we go into an in-depth story of Intuiville and the history, here's a snapshot of the conception of Intuiville starting back as early 2019, when the ideas were conceived, the official launch, starting with the 9 verticals and going up to 11. Now, let me go into a little bit more detail about how the ideation phase happened. So let's work back from the beginning. Word of advice, please think here right to left. Going back to the focal point, we really had to keep in mind what was centric to our brand messaging in illustrating what was at the time, in 2019, our mission statement, Promised Land Digital Engagement for Physical Spaces, reinvented. We had already established that we had to create a path or a journey, and throughout the ideation phase in 2019, one of the primary goals was to offer a virtual showroom to our customers. Another important aspect was to create a fun-to-browse inventory where people could search with pleasure and prioritize the content that would be displayed in the first version. So with that, Intuiville was officially launched in 2019, June, starting with 9 verticals, and in 2020 that was increased to 11. The goal is to inspire here for 2 main use cases: agencies and integrators, and clients of agencies and integrators. In our experience, our clients' biggest challenge is finding inspiration to solve a business problem or having a vision for how to effectively adopt interactivity. If this rings a bell, we highly recommend that you get familiar with Intuiville, our virtual interactive showroom. In it, you'll find up to 70+ examples of how interactivity can enhance classic scenarios across multiple verticals. So, where do you find Intuiville? Well, it's very simple really. You just head to Intuiface.com, or rather Intuiville.intuiface.com. Then you go to Uses, you click on Intuiville, and you also notice on the right hand side the spectrum of industries and objectives. Although not intrinsically linked to Intuiface's virtual city, they are closely tied. This is where you can find Intuiville on Intuiface.com with some navigation steps outlined. Here is where you can find Intuiface in Intuiville in Composer, which is a fantastic resource for you to reuse and take inspiration from. Leading on from finding Intuiville in Composer, you can also find Intuiville directly in Marketplace, where you can download, save, as save to locally or to the cloud via the Share and Deploy console. So rather than walk you through the steps, I'm going to share our Intuiville experience with you, which showcases Intuiface and the power of interactivity, as well as inspired examples tailored for multiple verticals, business value summaries that give you a deep dive into each scenario and more. So before we go on, please sit back and enjoy this short Intuiface intro. The intention of Intuiville, our virtual city, was built for the very purpose of displaying usage showcases, wherein both Intuiface clients and end user customers have a bird's eye view in presenting the most appropriate real-life examples to gauge interest. In an appropriate situation with your customer, you may find yourselves referring to a successfully completed prototype, a test phase, or even a full-blown deployment that you have accomplished. So let's focus on retail and what you and your customers can do. We'll take retail vertical here as an example, wherein you can browse through a number of usage models. These can be applied both to a self-service and sales assistant scenarios, wherein you'll find a description summary, business value, Intuiface key features, as well as videos and samples. Remote controlled window. Well, what can you do there? You can capture the attention of passers-by and then run a small promotion. Sales pitch. You can wow shoppers with an assortment of eye-catching material, including images, videos, PDFs, 3D models, you name it. Maps. You can display either live maps with street or satellite view, or even highlight interactive points of interest. Collaborative assisted selling. What can you do there? Well, sales reps and shoppers share a digital display during sales process. That's just one idea. And multimedia kiosk. The possibilities are really endless there. Now, let me show you what you can do using Intuiville through the eyes of the virtual usage showcase. So now I'm going to walk you through the virtual Intuiface usage showroom, where Intuiface is the interaction. So we can take any particular industry. Let's take retail as an example. Using my finger as a touch point or my mouse, I'm clicking on retail. And over here, it takes me to the various use cases within this particular sector, from lift and learn, collaborative assisted selling, shop window, and so forth. Now you'll notice over here on the right hand side, we've got a little summary. What I like to do when I'm talking to my customers is just scroll them along here, show them the business value and the Intuiface key samples features. Underneath, speaking of samples, we have samples here where you can look at some particular RFID technology, Nexosphere sensors and actuators, or back in here into videos. And in this case, we have one from Promultis and Wacato. It's no surprise that many of these usage models can cross-pollinate from one vertical to another. This door opener conversation may lead to you speaking with your customer in business units or different project sponsors, for example. Asking your customer how they're operating across these different units can help trigger thought reactions, perhaps even connect with their peers, enticing them to think out of the box for the phase 2 of their project. The emphasis is on providing inspiration for what you can offer your customers and what could even correlate with solutions presented on your website or through a form of marketing collateral. Stick around. We'll touch on this topic a little bit later when we present you Jeff Besson's session relating to marketing interactivity to attract interactive project opportunities. Also, indeed, in the pre-sales stages, you'll also utilize Intuiville for growth, upsell opportunities within your customer's organization. More will follow also on this note a little later in Seb Munier's session entitled How to Use Intuiface in Pre-Sales Engagements. Now on that note, let's refresh our minds again on what makes Intuiface unique. Beyond touch, interactivity is everywhere. Touch, sensors, voice, and more have enabled us to improve, streamline, and accelerate the ways that we purchase, educate, and inform. But touch isn't the only way that we can offer interactivity. Intuiface can also work with almost any interactive approach you can think of. These can include gesture control. I'm thinking of Nexmosphere, our partner, or Click Graphics, who do some custom development. Then on touch emulation, we have software options that include custom interface asset.net, local network only, JavaScript and WebSockets on the mobile page. And then moving down to hardware options, Ultraleap and Touch Free, AirTouch Kiosk and AirTouch, Intel RealSense and Gestures. There's also computer vision, Sitecore, also known for audience measurement, our partner. And finally, RFID, NFC readers, to name but a few. But on that note, let's take a closer look in Intuiface, where you'll see the touchless touch and beyond options with your own eyes. Now let's look again at what makes Intuiface unique. We spoke about the various beyond touch options. I'm going to take my finger again, I'm going to take this little circle here in the top left hand corner, and I'm just going to scroll it down, drag it and drop it here. Now I can see all the choices available to me, from gesture and control and touch emulation to computer vision, RFID NFC readers, motion sensors, voice activation, IoT, and the choice goes on and on. Here's the tech ecosystem. And where do you go to find that? Well, very simply, you can go to intuiface.com/tech ecosystem-map. This is pretty self-explanatory and illustrates all the technologies that we integrate or partner with a special focus on triggering computer vision, audience measurement. We also have voice activation, object recognition, tangible objects, gesture control, touch emulation, and touch tech. With the wrap up, well, to give you maybe a little bit of a wrap up or conclusion and to conclude for this part of the session in Project Inspiration 1001 Usage Models for Interactivity, we hope that this served as simply inspiration for you to go out there and speak with your customers who may rank with great importance, securing a future-proof digital signage partner, allowing them to scale up when the business demands it, and at minimum cost and risk. It also explores new opportunities or avenues for the organization in adopting other usage models. But last but not least, Intuiville doesn't limit itself or represent the entirety of what Intuiface sells, but rather a subset of the infinite number of possibilities that could be addressed. It's simply a starting point. On the user adoption front, this is also the opportunity for Intuiface to hear what feedback your customers are giving you. Please feel free to share your feedback, whether that's in the question and answer chat box or at a later time. Thank you for your attention.